Hello, welcome everybody. We'll give everybody a chance to give you a few minutes here to get online, and we'll get started. Okay. All right. My name is Ron Watson. I'm the Director of Content for PTC User. I welcome you to the next PTC User Expert Speaker Series. The title is showing various use cases on how to control Windchill parts to CAD association, part to CAD associations. And Jean-Pierre is joining us again. This is his second in a series, so we thank him. So just a few intro slides. What is our mission? Again, for those of you who have been on these webinars, apologize if it's a little redundant, but it's good for everybody to be reminded that PTC users mission is to support, educate, and advocate for all users of PTC software globally. It is also about you. This is not just a small group of people presenting information. This is all about collaborating and working together. So we encourage you, like Jean-Pierre, to be a speaker on an upcoming webinar, share tips and tricks. Participate in an upcoming panel session, which we're working on. Send some videos, some features. If you want to contribute, please reach out to me, ronw@ptcuser.org, and I'd be glad to work with you on that. What do we have coming up? Now, Liveworks 2020 is coming up in June at the Boston Convention and Exhibition Center. I know some of you may have some questions relative to what's going on in the world right now. We'll get you updates. We are meeting with PTC. We met yesterday, and we're meeting with them again tomorrow to discuss this. But at this point, since it is in June, it's still move forward. So if you intend to join, there's a lot of great reasons to join. There is record registration so far, and it's looking great. We have great content. We have a PTC product day on Thursday.
Sorry, are you sharing your slide?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was. I messed up. I absolutely messed up. I thought I was still sharing. So that was good that you noticed that, and I think I just got a chat. So apologize, boy. And I'm a professional at this. So I am presenting now, right?
We see the presenter view right now.
Perfect. The presenter view, you don't see the presentation itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, we went through this, right? Jean-Pierre and I, we went through it, and I messed up. So let me just share back again. And this time I know I have it. And I bet you it looks good now, right?
Yes.
All right. See, I can't practice enough. Thank you everybody for your patience here. So the June event is moving forward. If you want to register, please use PTC User 20 code. It should get you the best discount, or one of the best. It's always tough to tell, but it's certainly one of the best discounts, and it also allows us and helps us invest in PTC User. So we appreciate your help. So we have done a number of webinars, and it is important for you to have access to that information. And so we are in the process, and we've mentioned this before, of investing in a new portal technology that is still moving forward. All of us on the PTC User board have spent a lot of time on this, and we want to make sure we make the right decision, because it's going to be one that's with us for a long time. I mean, Socius has been with us, I think, in some form or another for the last 15 or 20 years. But in the meantime, we're making the best we can with Socius, and all the webinars, including the last one, are on our website and available for you to view, and including the associated presentation itself, the static PDF. So please, I encourage you to go back and access those. We know we get a lot of activity on those views, and far greater than we get on the attendees, which is absolutely what we want. This information is here to to consume. And you can see Jean-Pierre's last presentation in December is an example, but the ones we've done after are on there as well. Now, what do we have coming up? We have David Martin's coming back. David did the keynote in our January event. He did a phenomenal job. So I asked him, of course, there was 400 people there. That's a lot of people, but I'd asked him if he could update it and then make it available for the world to access, and he's doing that. So we have him coming in a couple of weeks. You don't want to miss it. It was a really exciting keynote. Absolutely our best keynote to date since doing the winter events. Really set the bar much higher, and we'll have to do better next year as well. Now I'm working on 2 more webinars. One I have a scheduled date of one of them, which is early May. However, the abstract was still in formation, so I didn't want to rush it. But so just know we have several more coming within the next month and a half, and we'll communicate those out through our newsletter as we regularly do. So I'd like to hand it over now to Jean-Pierre to take the reins and show us how to do this wonderful thing in Windchill and CAD. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ron. So I will start to share my screen first. I switch to presentation mode.
Okay, and it looks good. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so first of all, thanks for everyone for joining. So so don't hesitate to use the QA tool from the Zoom tool. Ron will keep an eye on it and interrupt me when there are any questions in order for me to reply to them. So don't hesitate to provide feedback or questions. So the topic of today is around controlling windshield part to CAD association. So again, it's something that is extracted from an existing course. So I just took a part of it, and I'm covering that today. So the slides and also the exercises. All right, so just a bit about me before we dig into the topics and into the technical elements. So I'm working from PTC since about '94 right now. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm right now working for PTCU, working on the curriculum development around Windchill, and also yes, other related products. My background is that I've been first technical sales, and then I moved on the service organization and to implement Windchill, to manage CAD data. And right now I'm focusing on really transmitting my experience to my peers and customers. So I worked on several courses recently, the 11.2 update course. I revamped the course around the Windchill option environment, and also some course around the Windchill REST API and the Creo Advanced Modeling 1 and 2, which are used right now in our new Creo subscription offering. So, but before talking about the topic of today, just a quick reminder about Liveworks. So Ron already spoke about it, but you have to know that for this year, we changed a bit our pricing model. It means that right now you're not paying per course, but you're paying per day. So you have a price for a single day and a price for 2 days. It means that you can then, during the day, build your own agenda as you will. So it's much more flexible than before. And we will deliver several sessions on all different topics or product lines, so Creo, Windchill, Capeware, and so on. So you can access to the agenda by accessing to the URL that is listed on the page, which is www.liveworks.com/training. So from there, we'll deliver, you can access to the list of training, and we'll have, in fact, our trainings are now lasting 3 hours. So we'll have trainings of 3 hours, and we'll have also seminars, which are a bit shorter, 1 hour and a half. I myself will deliver three different seminars at Liveworks around the Creo data management, around the definition of viable products with Windchill and Creo, and also about how to use Windchill project capabilities to collaborate on product development. So that was a very quick introduction and about Liveworks. I hope to see you at Liveworks. But right now, let's jump into the topic of today. So the idea was really to show an extract of an existing course, which is called Mastering CAD-Driven Project Structure with PTCU Windchill. So right now, it was built on 11.1, but everything that is there is still valid for 11.2. And today we're just really focusing on the various use case and see how we can control the Windchill part to CAD association. So first, about the CAD-driven project structure. Well, we have the concept of CAD-driven project structure, which means that it is the CAD that is driving the project structure. That's one possibility. That's what is shown here. When working from the CAD first, from the CAD we can create the part, and then you can associate parts with all the related informations describing your product. So that's one strategy. There are other strategy that is called the bottom-up, starting from the CAD. There are other strategy that I will not cover today, which is related to the top-down approach. So when working with CAD and part related, sometimes we have to use a different, what we call part subtypes. So it means that we can have that's a way to specify some specific business rules for a given part. Like, for example, a specific access rights, attributes, or naming, numbering. It's typical, for example, if you have a part that is describing an ECAD component, or an ECAD component, you may have different set of attributes than the part that is describing a mechanical component. So that's a part subtype. So we have that for the parts. And we also have that for the CAD document. So when you are creating the CAD document, here you can see the UI of creating a subtype of a CAD document in Windchill. So you can create subtype of CAD document, and to which you can assign specific characteristics, attributes, access right, and so on. So that's, and when you are doing so with the CAD document, you can also assign to that specific CAD document a specific Windchill part. So that's what you can see on the upper part of the UI, where we have an entry which is called the default type of part to create, which sets the specific part type related to the specific CAD document. So that's something that is used by some of our customers, really to tailor specific business behavior for specific CAD models or CAD artifacts. So that's one possibility. The CAD document part type can be also driven by a Creo parameter. So right now, when you create a CAD model within Creo, you can use a specific parameter to specify which subtypes you want to use on Windchill side. So that's also one possibility. When you are building the structure, project structure from the CAD, you have some preferences that you can set. Here you can see the preferences related to the attributes, because when you have attributes set on the CAD model, it is passed through on the CAD document in Windchill, and you can decide if you want those attributes pushed on the parts. So that can be adjusted by setting those preferences, which allows you to set where you want the attribute pushed on the object itself, on the link, on the usage link of this object, or on a specific occurrence of the object, for example. All right. When you assign parts to CAD models, you have also different categories of links, different types of link. It means that if you connect the CAD model to the Windchill part, you may want to propagate or not different kind of informations. That leads to the fact that you have different kind of links that are available. And here you can see a table of those links. They are listed on the upper part. You have the owner, the contributing image, the image, contributing content, and the content. Well, the one that is created by default is the owner link, the one that is listed on the upper part, which propagates information from the CAD model to the part. So it propagates the attribute, it propagates visualization, it propagates the structure. So it reads the CAD structure and creates a similar structure on the part side. And also it can contribute to structure. So that's really the most, I would say, the link that is pushing the most information, that really connects and makes the CAD model driving the windshield part. Then you have others. I will not go in details in all of them. What you can see also is that what we call the cardinality, which means how many objects can be connected to how many objects. So for example, the owner, you can see many to one, which can be seen a bit strange because you could think about just one part for one CAD model, but in reality, it's not always the case. We may have multiple windshield parts connected to the same model. For example, you may have different, I don't know, different colors or different materials. So you are creating different windshield parts, but you still just have one CAD representation, one CAD model. So that's what we call the multi-owner, which is also possible with the owner link. That's why you see this many to one. So to give more explanation about those variations, I can jump to this, which is show you some examples. And here you can see that there are two kind of examples. The upper part, you can see how the system is reacting. It's a step-by-step action. Say that on the first step on the left side, you have these different components, CAD models with different kind of links. Then you create an assembly, which is containing all those CAD models. And after you do the check-in in Windchill, you get the following results. So means that, for example, we have created an assembly. So we have a windshield part related to the assembly. We have created a drawing. So we have a link which allows to navigate easily from the part to the drawing, which is a calculated link or content link. The parts which do have image, contributing image, and owner do appear in the structure, whereas the contributing content link here doesn't appear in the structure because such a link doesn't contribute to the structure. Meaning that if this CAD model has such a link with the part will never appear in the structure here when the structure is built from the CAD. So that's one case. The other case is here, which is sometimes you have to manage flexible components. So for example, you may have wires or springs or actuators. So in your CAD assembly, so depending on the capabilities you're using in Creo, if you're not using Creo flexible feature, you may create multiple CAD models like you can see here with wire 1, wire 2, and wire. But that's what you get, that's what you have in your CAD model. But within your project structure, you just want to see one reference of the wire with the right quantity, which is in that case 3. So you can obtain that by just playing with the association type. So that's a good example of using these association types there. There's another links, which is, I mentioned that you can access quickly from the part to the drawing. So there's a link that is called calculated. That can be also a content link. We have a setup to adjust that. I will don't go in detail that, but the purpose of that is just to allow you to quickly navigate from the windshield part to the drawings. So associating parts to CAD, in fact, there are two ways. It can be done automatically or manual. The automatic method can be done when you perform a check-in. When you perform a check-in, you can set Windchill to automatically create or associate parts. That's one possibility. The other possibility is to do it manually, and in that case, you have two commands: the auto associate or the edit associate that can be used. They look very similar in the UI, so it's both of them can be used, but they are done inside the workspace, and usually that's the method that is commonly used by our customers because it allows you to more easily control what's happening when you're associating objects. So that's okay. Then if you associate automatically, you have this UI where you can select the different links. I will not go deep in that case. I see that there are some questions related to what I've said, sorry. Well, there are some very specific questions about the usage of the owner link. I'm not sure I will have, I will not have time to reply in detail to that because it's pretty long description. So, well, for those questions, I will just reply it offline. So, okay, I will take that and I will reply it later on. So there are some preferences around auto-associate, which allows you to identify or define the behavior of Windchill when running the auto-association. For example, you can see set revision for parts. It typically will look the revision of the CAD models and create the equivalent revision for the part, for example. So it can be a preference that can be pretty important. Another important preference is the create or associate new parts, which allows to define well the logic of the auto-association. Means that right now, when you select when you set to Windchill to create an auto-association automatically, it will search for a part with the right number, the same number than the CAD model. If it doesn't find it, it creates a part. But with this preference, you can eventually say, okay, if you don't find the part with such a number, don't create the part, for example. So those are kind of preference that can be useful to set in very common, in a very common situation. So I just did a very quick lecture. Sorry, I was a bit fast on that. Because we have been bounded on the time. So I will jump on the exercise part where we are working on this data set. It's a very simple data set. And we'll review different cases of association. So the first case I wanted to show is around revising. So when you're revising CAD model, which is connected to part, how the links are updated. So you can see here an explanation on the bottom, and then I can play the quick video. For example, if you revise the CAD and the part together, so if the CAD is connected to the part, you will get a RevB from the CAD model connected to the RevB of the part. If you revise only the part, you can see here, so you don't change the CAD model, but the part is revised. What will happen is that you will get a new revision of the part connected to the original revision of the CAD model. And the third case is if you revise only the CAD. So if you revise only the CAD, what will happen is that you will get a new version, new revision of the CAD model, but it won't have any links to the part. So the revision B of the CAD model will appear alone without any connection to the part. So that's a third possibility. Notice that there are also some, there is no preference that can be adjusted if you do the revise directly from within Creo, because the other preferences that you are set are active usually on the web browser. So if you want to drive also the revise of the part with the CAD model automatically, when you're using a revise from Creo, there is a preference that you can set to that. Okay, so in terms of timing, we are a bit short. So I'm not sure I will not present you the video from this specific exercise because I think it's, when you see the pictures here, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can see 3 different cases of revision, but we can just make maybe a short pause. No, I will not jump, so I will not show you this video right now here. I will just jump to the next exercise, but before jumping, maybe I can do a small stop if there are quick question or question that I can ask quickly. Yeah. I see a question about the multi-owner association. So any changes mean that, well, maybe I would need more clarification on these questions. Right now, I can say how the multi-owner association was set when it appeared. Initially, it was a kind of switch to activate that capability. It means that we were not able to have that and keep the default behavior in Windchill. And right now we have more flexibility, but it's since 11.2, means that you can use a multi-owner for some components when you are doing a check-in, and for other components you can use the common build method. So that's on 11.2. So I don't know which version you were referring, but that's which is the latest news about the multi-owner, which is used by some customers. I know that some customers in the jewel industry in Switzerland are using this multi-owner association. There were the people who requested that feature. I see a second question. If only CAD is revised, will it break TCPN association? So what is a TCPN? I need some clarification on this question, sorry. TCPN is, okay, all right, well. If it's not related to the multi-owner, this question, if only CAD model is revised, will break the part association. That's the case I just mentioned before. If you revise the CAD model only, the new version of the CAD model won't be by default connected to the part. It will just be alone. What you can do then is you can revise the part, the windshield part, and you can associate, for example, or you can edit association also if you want to adjust the association. Okay, so then the next case I want to show is around the save as, because the save as is pretty interesting. In that case, we'll show a common issue that may arise when doing the to association. During the save as. So let's do that. Okay, so here you can see my session. So I'm inside Creo, and we'll just use the save as. And in fact here, when doing the save as, you can do it from two locations: the product, or which is I would say the common space, what you can see here, or you can also do it from the workspace. If you do the copy from the common space, the objects are immediately created inside the common space. So as best practice, it's I would say recommended to do it from the workspace, because then you can run the save as, and you can always revert your save as or delete the created object if that doesn't fit or that meets what you wanted. So here, in that case, we are currently creating a workspace. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm adding a small assembly which is containing a few components, and the CAD model has a skeleton connected. So you see assembly 1 and few component 1, 2, and 3. So I have those components, and what I will run now is that I will run the save as. So you get a list of dependencies there. I will select the parts, and you can see that by default a default name is associated to all the copied components. It just put _new, so I just keep the default setup right now, and I will just click on finish. And I'm now getting the results. So I've created a new assembly. That's a common way to create something new also. When you're designing, very often you're just reusing, so you can do the save as, and we got the structure. So let's see, yes, so that's a new structure with a skeleton. Yeah. So that's one possibility, but I also could have done the save as from starting from the part instead of starting from the CAD model. That's also another possibility that that could be done. So let's review that. Now I need first to clean up my copy. So that's the benefit of doing the save as on the workspace. I can erase my save as and I can redo it in another manner. So that case, I have I will now select the assembly and run save as from the windshield part. And I will take the dependency here. So the difference here is that I will not copy the skeleton. You know, there was a skeleton connected to the CAD assembly. It's not listed right now. And I will get, the project structure with all the component copied, but I will just have the same skeleton then. So it's a different, I will get a different result than when starting from the CAD. Whereas from the CAD, by default, I copied also the skeleton. Yeah, that's what you can see right now in the resulting CAD model. You know, I have everything new except the skeleton, which is just copied. And if you look the part, well, you can see the parts that have been created that are new. Yeah. All right, so that was a very quick case of the save as. Running the save as in two different cases from the part or from the CAD model. So from the CAD model, the skeleton was copied. From the part, the skeleton was just a reuse. It was not part of the copied elements. Yeah. And we did that from the workspace. We just say it's preferred way to be able to more easily revert if the save as was not appropriate and so on. So the third exercise is around controlling association with the CAD parameter. So we can, with Windchill, decide whether or not we want to have a part created, Windchill part created, and connected to a CAD model based on a CAD model attribute. So that's what we'll see here. So we'll quickly review the setup and run the process, assigning parameters to the CAD model, checking in with auto associate and reviewing the results. So let's see that. Okay, so let's. So here I'm logging on the system. So first, I just want to show you the setup. How can we achieve such a setup to drive the part creation and association based on the CAD model parameter? So there are two main things to set up: the preferences and also, of course, the attributes. So let's first review the attributes. So here in that case, I have already created these attributes. They are called no BOM and no parts. So they are defined in Windchill with the Boolean type, basically yes, no. They are in uppercase in order to be mapped automatically with Creo. And those attributes are connected to the CAD model. So if we go on the CAD model here, you can see that in the list of attributes associated to this CAD model, you will see the no BOM and no parts, which are there. So, well, let me just filter. If I filter, yeah. I didn't explain the difference between these two attributes, but one is to control whether or not a part should be created. That's a no part, and the no BOM will be used to decide whether or not we should have a phantom parts inside our assembly. So the second element to set up is the preferences. where we need to say that we need to drive the build based on the specific parameter. So it's done here. So I go in the auto associate domain, and here you can see that I have the part structure override attribute name, no part, and the phantom assembly override attribute name, no BOM, not all set. So it means that based on the value of this attribute, I can have the part created and connected or not, or I will have or not a phantom part created. So that's a setup. Now we can exit from that, and we can now go back to the Creo session. Okay, so first thing to do inside my CAD model is to assign parameters. So they can be already present in my CAD templates, you know, but right now it's not the case. So I will have to open my CAD model and create the parameters. That's what I will do right now. So I have my pump that is there. I will open it. Okay. And from there, I will just assign the parameters. Okay, so that's my assembly. You can see that there's one assembly that is called the pump. So we have the pump base, which is created by the merge of two parts, stand merge and support merge. And we have the pump inlet, which is a kind of phantom part, which is grouping several inlets from my pump. So that's my current CAD model. And based on that, I will just set up my parameters in order not to create a windshield part for the stand merge and support merge components, and also to create a phantom part for the inlets. So I jump on one of the components. I'm now setting the parameters. Okay, no part. I will do the same for the other. So I save it. Okay, I open the support merge, and that's the same setup. I'll set the no part parameter. Don't forget to designate the parameter in order to push the value to Windchill. That's a checkbox that I will use right now. Yeah. And I will also set parameter for the pump inlet assembly in order to create a phantom assembly for this pump inlet. So I will open it, and here I will just set another parameter, which is the no BOM parameter. Okay, which is the yes, no, yeah, but yes, I want to have it the one, and designate. All right. So I've done my parameters setup right now inside my CAD model. So what I can do right now is to check in. So I will do a custom check-in of my pump. So all right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's flashing because right now I'm calculating the viewables inside Creo. That's why you see this flashing. So I will just just set the location for my new components. Okay. And I will set here that I want to auto-associate parts. And well, let's say I want also to remove my object from my workspace, to clean up my workspace. That's a common practice also. So I've done my, while checking is ongoing right now. Okay, I'm just cleaning up my session. All right. Okay, so this checking is done. So if we now look on the structure, what do we have? So first of all, you can see the phantom part. The pump inlet now appears as a phantom part, which has the effect that when you're running the reports on the structure, all the components that are below will be moved one level up. So I will just select one report. So first, I'm just running the report for the pump inlets. So you see the members of the pump inlets, the 3 different inlets. But if I go on the pump complete and I run the report, you will see that all components will appear at the same level. So that's what we call the phantom part. So that's one way to manage differences in terms between the CAD structure and the poly structure. Yeah. And we could also investigate, take a look on the parts. We just move a bit forward, but no, we can go. Let's navigate to the pump base and navigate to the parts that were used to create this model. And you will see that no parts has been created for this. So here I go to the CAD model. Yep. Okay. And this one, okay. The pump base has, of course, a part, but if I go on the base stand part, for example, you will see that it doesn't have any parts related. All right, so that was just the third exercise. I know that we're running out of time, so I will quickly just explain the fourth exercise, but we won't have to. I will not have time to show you, but it was an exercise that was designed to show you some common conflicts that we are having when we are associating part to CAD, and it was mainly due here in that scenario. It was mainly due to the fact that on some customers, it was common to have the CAD model .asm and some CAD model .prt with the same, we say, same base name. You know, support. I don't know, some as we had some methodologies to create object by merging and so on. We had the case of having some assemblies and parts with the same base name. And when you do so, when running to associate, it can generate conflicts, having 2 CAD models connected to one single windshield part. So here, in that scenario, we are running to the first association. We get in conflicts because of the same base name for a part and an assembly. We will name the CAD assembly. Then we run again the auto associate, and we show the final result, which is, of course, good after we corrected this name conflict. So that was the purpose of this exercise, but I know that we are a bit short on time, so I will don't show you the demonstration of that. And with that said, in fact, I'm reaching the end of what I wanted to present you today. So we don't have too much time, but well, you have a very small window for some questions.
Well, Jean-Pierre, there are 2 questions if you want to look at those, or if you want me to read them.
So yeah, I see the questions right now. One is around, oh, there are more than one. One is, no, well, yes, one is around the save as, another one is about alternate and substitute parts. So about the save as, so the question is, during the save as action, is it possible to reuse components from the starting part and CAD structure in the new structures that gets created? Yes, of course, yes. In the exercises, everything was copied, but I could have decided to just reuse. In fact, I have 2 commands. I can decide to reuse. In that case, I'm not creating new components, or I can decide to copy. So it's just an adjustment that you can do when we are collecting the objects just before starting doing the copy of the save as. So yes, we can. Of course, we can do that. Yeah. And the last question is, how would you manage alternate substitute parts, which would be in part BOM but may not be in CAD BOM? Well, in that case, you can, well, I think you can create alternate parts inside the project structure. So I think you can do it, but well, we need to dig more into it, because I know that if you have some owner link between the parts and the CAD model, you may have some constraints. So I can't answer you immediately to that question. I have to take a look at it, because yeah, just to be sure to say use the right thing in terms of impact if you are using alternate or substitute on the parts that are connected to CAD. Yeah. Yeah, of course, if there are no connection with the CAD, well, you can use alternate or substitute. That's also possible. The other question was, how do you set up publishing windshield part attributes? That's interesting. Usually, we can do that if you create, well, if you have a top-down approach in Windchill, means that you create the part in Windchill, and when you're creating the part in Windchill, you can immediately, in the same wizard, in the same UI, you have a checkbox to create CAD model. So when you do so, there are some possibilities to copy the same information between the part and the CAD model. But that's a domain that has evolved, so it depends on the version of Windchill. I know that on the Windchill 11.2, you can push the name, I think, and the number from the part to the CAD model. Before, it was not so direct. We had at least to do some copy paste action. But that's a way to do it. But you have to work with the top-down approach. You create the part and you create the CAD model at the same time. Otherwise, you will not have an automated communication between the two to pass the name and the number. Okay, that was so. Any other question, or else think we are running out of time right now? So,
if you have any other questions, here comes another one.
Okay. Oh, okay, there are two. I see two. To confirm the usage of the phantom assembly, override attribute names preference. This allows the grouping assembly where second level component for other row assembly to be treated as first level component. Yes, yes. But one point about that phantom assembly, because that can be tricky, that you, in the report, you see that the components which are below are now listed one level upper. Okay, so that is visible in the report, but the project structure still has this node. So you still have this node in the project structure, but you have a specific attribute which allows you to identify this node differently, and the reports filter that. Yeah? So you have to know, for example, that if you connect that to an ERP, by default, you're not pushing the report, but you're pushing the structure. So you have some additional, maybe, treatments to do that. But that's just for your information. Yeah. And the last question is, when creating a new part, is it possible to create a CAD model and drawing? Well, you can create the CAD model, because when you create a new part, you have a checkbox to create automatically the CAD model. But then you have to create the CAD. Then you have to go in Creo and say, I want to create a new drawing, and based on this CAD model. That's how I would do that. And of course, when you check in when you're checking your CAD model and your drawing inside Windchill, you will get the Windchill part with two links to access to the model and the drawing. So that's what you would proceed to do so. And the last question, so when creating Windchill part from CAD, can you specify to create the part in a different folder than from the CAD model? Yes, and that's a preference that can be configured. By default, it's not fixed, so you can have different folder, and there's a preference that allows you to fix that. So every time you you do the check-in of the CAD model, a new part will be stored in the same folder. So that's a preference. In that case, you don't need to set anything for the part. It goes automatically on the same folder than the CAD model. Oh, there are lots of questions. Last one, and I think we run out of time. It was more a comment around the question on creating CAD model and drawing. If I give specific revision while creating CAD model and part, how do I get the drawing with the same revs? Well, it is possible to do that. You create, so if I take the same, I just rephrase my scenario, I create my windshield part, I have a checkbox to create the CAD model at the same time, so I will get the same revision. I open my CAD model, I create my drawing. I'm getting my drawing in, so I save it, I have everything in my workspace. But at the point of time, you're right, I have two different versions potentially between my drawing and my CAD model. But you have to know that when you are creating something new in the workspace, you can set your revision. So then you can manually set the revision of the drawing to be identical to the CAD model and do your check-in. In that case, you will have the same revision. So that's one possibility. That's a capability that is used also when you are importing models into if you're working with an external partner, you're importing your models, you can set your revision this way also. Yeah. All right, so that was, I think we are running out.
Yeah, I think that's good. So I want to remind everybody that we will follow up. I know there's one question here at the top that we didn't answer. We'll look into that, so we will follow up with these questions. The recording and the presentation will be available within 1 week of this presentation, hopefully sooner, and available on the PTC user portal. So not to overwhelm with too many emails, just check, check in a couple of days and check in early next week or whatever it is, just because we don't want to overwhelm people with sending, emails, bulk emails too often. Also wanted to just quickly mention that PTC is changing the way they're doing developing this training, and we learned a little more about that in January at our winter event. And Jean-Pierre and I are working on how we can inform everyone about that. So keep in touch. We hope to set up another webinar talking about the direction, very positive direction in how this training material is being developed and delivered. You'd agree, Jean-Pierre, right? It's a game changer.
Yeah. That's really paradigm change. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Well, thank you all of you for your time, and we wish you a very safe, happy, healthy rest of your day and week. Take care, and we'll see you at the next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.